So the UK is meant to be a supposedly open and free society, and yet this poll seems to reveal a terrifying truth that a lot of the British public support basically a nanny state being implemented. And as you can see, this is a recent YouGov poll that relates to the recent Online Safety Act that has been implemented, and it reads age verification. Almost a week after implementation, Britons are even less likely to think new rules will be effective at preventing under 18s from accessing adult content, but the large majority still support them. And I mean, this is pretty baffling to think about that a law that they know is going to be ineffective and yet they still support it. So let's read the first question that they were asked. From everything you've seen and heard, do you support or oppose the recent rules requiring age verification to access websites that may contain adult content? So before the implementation, it was 80%, which is pretty wild. Most of that, I think, has to do with the fact that it's called the Online Safety Act. So most people haven't actually read the bill. So it's mostly just branding that convinces the majority of the public to support it. I mean, they might as well have called it the Save the Puppies Act for all of the good that would have done. It would have had pretty much the same relation if they would have called it the Save the Puppies Act. But after the implementation, only 69% of people supported it. So there was a slight decrease, but still the overwhelming majority of people support it even after it has been implemented. And the second question, which is really what reveals the terrifying, I guess, underlying strain within British society is, and how effective do you think the new rules will be at preventing those younger than 18 from gaining access to adult content? And you can see that, I mean, even before the implementation, a slight majority of people thought that it would be ineffective, either not very effective or not very effective at all. And yet, still 80% of people were in support of it. However, this is where the worrying part comes in. Even after it was implemented, most people, a pretty sizable majority of people, thought that the law is ineffective at actually preventing uh, supposedly protecting children or thinking of the safety of children. And yet, the majority of people still think it's worthy of their support. And I don't know, it's just pretty baffling, honestly. It doesn't make any sense. I mean, the level of cognitive dissonance that somebody has to have to have these two views hard at the same time. Obviously, it's not the same people, but there's going to be some people, a good amount of people who overlap in these two groups who have to think simultaneously that it's not going to be effective, yet they are going to support it. And I don't know. I mean, it kind of reveals an authoritarian streak within British society. And I mean, I guess we saw that during COVID, there was a lot of authoritarian measures that the government put forward, and there was a lot of support, surprisingly. And again, in a supposedly free and open society, and I think a lot of that has to do with the kind of normalcy bias that UK society has, because we've never had any real historical authoritarianism in the country. We never had a dictator. People just think that it's never going to happen here, right? They just think this normalcy bias penetrates their mind, and they think that we don't have to worry about it. Even if we pass ineffective laws that don't actually work, that clearly infringe upon your rights, it can't be because the government is turning authoritarian, right? Even though that's actually what's happening. So I don't know. I guess you could. The only hope that you have with with a poll like this, even though it's pretty terrifying, is that it's only a week after, so perhaps people haven't really thought about it that much. Ofcom hasn't actually enforced it that effectively. From what I've seen, there haven't been any fines yet from Ofcom. So maybe as more fines get implemented and more websites start to implement the age verification, because again, the age verification, it's not just about adult content. It is any site, essentially. The Ofcom has written the rules in such a way, and the legislation is written in such a way to where any website that has any user generated content whatsoever has to have these third party age verification services implemented. So you have to scan your ID or your face basically to access any website on the internet. That is the law essentially. And I guess as more enforcement comes and more websites enforce that policy, maybe more people will turn against it. So that's kind of one hope. The second hope is that it's a YouGov poll, so the sample size again, I haven't looked. They haven't revealed the sample size as far as I can tell. So maybe it's just a small sample size, and this is not representative of the public. Let's hope that's the case. And I guess the other cause for hope is that the petition against the Online Safety Act is currently sitting at around 500,000 signatures. So there is clearly a backlash and a groundswell of opposition against these authoritarian measures. But I don't know, guys. Tell me what you guys think in the comments. Do you think this poll is pretty worrying? Do you think that there's a lot of support for authoritarianism within the British public? Let me know in the comments. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.